Welcome back to Our Canada, Our Future. We're talking about Russia's war in the Ukraine with MLI Senior Fellows Balkan Devlin and Marcus Kolga and Dr. Yevgeniya Gaber. Balkan, before the break, Yevgeniya was laying out the fact that this is an existential war for Ukraine, and a lot of their ability to fight back is dependent on support from their allies. I wanted to get your thoughts on the response from Ukraine's allies, especially Canada in particular. Do you think it has been sufficient, and what more can countries like Canada do to help Ukraine?
I think there are 2 points. One, as Yevgenia pointed out, there is support coming from the West, but the way it is being paced and the amount it is being given is not sufficient to change the realities on the ground and ensure Ukrainian victory, which is the shortest way to end this war. And it is the best way, not only for Ukraine, but also for us. The support, the moral revulsion that Canada and our partners and allies showed when Russia reinvaded Ukraine in February of this year started to I think slow down as the war continues and the costs became more and more, particularly for Ukraine, but also for others. So the initial enthusiasm and the initial support, outpouring of support, because of the moral revulsion, to be frank, that Russia's war of aggression led the Western communities, is now being tapered off. So I think there's a lot more that needs to be done. We need to be aware that if we are not willing to pay pennies today, we will be paying hundreds of dollars down the future. This, as I've said before, this war is not only about Ukraine. Yes, Ukraine is paying the biggest price, both in blood and treasure. But this is our war as well. Ukraine is fighting for democracy and for decency, and to be frank, for the West. And we need to bear some of the burden. And Ukrainians are not asking for us to go and die for them. But what they need is the tools to finish the job, to defend themselves, and by extension, to defend the transatlantic community. And it is important for us to increase the support, not drip, that the way we are doing right now, not just enough to prevent Ukrainian defeat, but to ensure Ukrainian victory. So yes, we need to do more. And there are different ways that Canada can support Ukraine. Yes, weapons and ammunition is one, but we do not necessarily have the capabilities or basically the weapons to be able to deliver. But there are other areas in which Canada can provide support, both directly to Ukraine as well as to our allies in Europe who are at the forefront of this war, particularly the Baltics and Poland. One way is to help Europe with the energy security. Canada is one of the world's leading energy powers. European dependence on Russian natural gas, particularly as we see, is fundamental in Russia's ability to blackmail Europe. And Canada can and should do more. The primary problem there is, of course, our the domestic regulatory environment that is hostile to the development of these energy resources and their transportation. So we need to do more by that way. The second is, of course, food security. Again, Canada is a food superpower, and we need to be able to export more and support more, not only our European allies, but also countries in the global south that is heavily being impacted by this engineered food crisis by Russia. So we could actually step up beyond the military support on energy, on food security, as well as financial support to Ukraine, both for rebuilding their country, as also to our allies and partners in Poland and in the Baltics who are actually bearing the biggest burden in terms of both physical and moral support for Ukraine among the Western allies. So yes, we need to do more. We need to provide much more weapons. As Canada, we may not necessarily have the capabilities right now today, but we need to invest in those capabilities so that when the time comes later on, we actually have the capability to provide the support for our allies and defend them, as well as defend Canadian security and prosperity. But in the immediate term, we could also do a lot more. when it comes to energy security and food security, and support not only Ukraine, but also other allies and partners.
Okay, yes, really good points. Just goes to show that Canada can play a much bigger role. We've got a lot more to dig into. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.